All right, hey everybody, welcome into the show this week. I'm Gary.
This is Austin.
And we are Midwest Mics coming back at you with another show this week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show last week with Coach Hare as much as we did. He was a phenomenal guest. Got a lot of good feedback on the social media about Coach Hare, and he shared some valuable information and advice for young coaches, and just an all-around great guest, and really enjoyed having him on. And you know, we'll be following once they start playing games here in early December. You know, we'll kind of follow through their season, much like we did some high school football. So,
great guest, wealth of information. It's always nice to have coaches on that have been coaching for a long time. They always have really good advice. The last two coaches we've had on with Coach Hare and Coach Caldwell both had really good advice especially for young coaches and just overall with their experiences they've been through and everything. So nice to have those guys on. We're flying solo this week, so we'll talk about some of the stuff that's going on. So just to lead off, we'll start with high school. We can start with high school football.
Yeah, high school football in the state of Kansas. It's state championship week. I did actually live stream the game last week between Blue Valley North and Olathe North, which was the East semifinal.
Watch that on the A10 varsity one.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it is.
Cool.
It's on there.
You know, I don't know why. You know, my wife said I was kind of torturing myself by watching it. You know, knowing that we were so close to playing in that game, but I guess just the sports junkie in me wanted to see what they were doing, and you know, it was two really good teams. You know, you don't get lucky and get to the state semifinals. You know, you might get lucky and get a round one win, but you don't get lucky and luck into the semifinals. So, you know, both teams played really well. Blue Valley North won 51-49. So, kind of like Coach Hare was talking about last week, not a lot of defense played in that game. Graham Mertz threw the ball great, like he always does. Olathe North, Bruce actually threw, I think, 3 or 4 touchdowns, which is unusual for him. He's known more of a running guy, but he threw some now and goes that found their way to his guy, and you know, some long touchdowns. But ultimately, Blue Valley North did win, so they get their second straight trip to the state championship game against Derby. So a rematch of last year's game, and it'll probably be a hard-fought contest on Saturday. You know, I mean, it's hard to pick against Derby, but on the other side in Blue Valley North, you got the defending state champion. So, I mean, I'd say it could go either way.
Anytime you have the best player on the field too, you're in good shape. And they've got the best player on the field. They've got the best player on the field with Mertz. So and that guy's he makes plays. Just looks good. He always looks really good.
He did.
Everything about him is he's super sharp.
He made some throws, you know, last week in that semifinal game as I was watching it. That, I mean, just other quarterbacks I've been around at the high school level don't make those throws,
especially at the age, especially at the age group.
Yeah,
it's just not there, and a lot of times that stuff doesn't develop, maybe until later.
Yeah,
but he's got a great mechanics. Everything about him is good. I think he's going to do well at Wisconsin.
I do too.
I don't see why not.
And he'll have a chance to start there next year as a true freshman.
That'd be pretty cool. I don't really see any holes in his game. I don't see big. You know, yeah. He's total package. So flipping through the others, 5A. So
5A, Aquinas won. They beat Olathe West badly.
Yeah, I saw they scored 61 or 62.
I mean, it was not even a close game.
So is that the state championship?
Yep, state championship. Aquinas. I don't remember who they're playing. I'm not as familiar with the 5A teams.
Yeah.
4A, Bishop Miege obviously won. So they're playing for state.
So we're looking at for Kansas football for 6A, 5A, 4A. We're looking at 3 schools that are local.
Yeah.
Could be state champion. I mean, like super local. Be state champions. I would almost put Miege as a lock. Probably the biggest lock out of all of them, even though Aquinas is probably right there. The better game will be your 6A game for sure.
Yeah, I think your 6A will be the most contested game. I feel like it could go either way. But, yeah, I really feel like Aquinas will handle business in that 5A championship. Randy Dreiling, he's been there before. He's been there. I think this was the third year in a row that they've made it to state, but they lost.
I think you're right.
But bringing on Dustin Delaney here toward the end, that might be the little secret recipe for him.
A smart move.
Yeah.
Guy knows how to call that offense. So is that what is that? Is that his offense? I mean, is it the same?
Yeah.
Or he's throwing, or is he? It's like he took over someone else's offense and he's throwing his
No,
own rate?
no. They were a flexbone team,
And it's the same thing.
Yeah, he's added some things that
A few wrinkles.
they weren't doing. But anyway, I don't want to get off on that tangent again. But yeah, so I think Aquinas should handle business, and I feel like Miege kind of goes without saying they should win it. That'd be 5 in a row for them. What Coach Holmes has done there at Miege, taking over for Grunhard a few years ago and just kind of keeping that thing rolling. He's a Miege guy, and just what he's done there, his staff, it's phenomenal.
Winners. They're just winners, man. They're just really good. So
Just keep winning.
A football factory. So, you know what? It could be tough, too. It can be really hard to turn around a terrible program. On the flip side, when you take over a successful program, the expectations are really high every single year. There's a lot of pressure on there. But they seem to handle it really well. And, like I said, I think they'll win it again.
Yeah.
And why not? And they'll keep that thing going. So, pretty cool. Pretty cool to see all that stuff. So,
Yep.
And I'm sure the nice thing is those games will be streamed on A10 Varsity.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. I think that's really cool, especially this day and age. You don't have to search around, or you don't have to just get updates on your phone. You can actually watch the game. So shout out to 18 Varsity for doing a really good job on that. I enjoy watching their streams.
Yeah, I do too.
So really cool stuff. We'll talk about the next thing, the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Pro Football Hall of Fame announced the semifinalists. I think this is the step where they cut it from like 100 down to about 30. About 30 people that they call semifinalists. And then the next cut happens just right before the Super Bowl when they actually elect the class. So some notable names, the two that really jump out at me right away, Tony Gonzalez and Ed Reed, I feel like are two guys in that class that are semifinalists now and are locks to get in first ballot, no doubt. Two of the best to ever play at their respective positions, tight ends and safety. You got any thoughts there?
Yeah, I think from the years watching Ed Reed play, everybody knew he's a beast. University of Miami, monster down there. Goes to Baltimore. That defense is good. That defense is great for many years with him and Ray Lewis. And a lot of that has to do with Ray Lewis and also with Ed Reed. Ed Reed's leadership and Ray Lewis's leadership, and you could see that it was just he was a heavy hitter. He would destroy you if you came over that middle.
Yeah.
He's lined up on you, he'd get you. And watching him play with the intensity that he had and the passion that he had for the game, he's a great one. He really kind of, did that. Like, people had a game plan, just for him.
Oh, yeah.
Ball hawk. So, he made the corners better. Everything better about that team.
Yeah.
Because they had corners that would switch in and out of that defense. And
he
go on. And
he kind of called everything back there on the back end.
Yep.
And, was that leader. As a defensive coach, I know how important it is to be able to have that guy in your front seven, your Ray Lewis, that can manage your defense and get your front in and out of the checks, but then to have that guy on the back end that's just as good and just as knowledgeable and an amazing player who can make sure your secondary is lined up properly, covering the right guys, get you in the right coverage for different looks. Just the things he did there for all those years in Baltimore.
Yeah, that's probably a team that could have got another Super Bowl if they could have figured out their quarterback situation. Their defense was so good to make up for the quarterback. They won it the first time.
Yeah,
with Dilfer. After that, I think they drafted Kyle Baller and had Steve McNair a couple years. It got close with McNair, but really, I think if they would have had a more dynamic quarterback, you might see those guys. Ray's got 2 rings.
Yeah. You might have seen him get 3.
Reed was off the team
Yeah, I think he had retired.
Yeah, or Houston, or played for the Texans and the Jets.
Oh, that's right. He bounced.
I don't know if it was that year or not, but anyways, and then on the other side, we got the tight end Tony Gonzalez, which all the Chiefs fans are very familiar with him. We actually made, I think it was the correct move for both parties at that point in time when he left to go play for Atlanta. That was we were in rebuilding mode, and it didn't do any good for him or us to keep that guy around, and so we kind of let him go. Went to go try to win a championship down in Atlanta. Got close, but no cigar. But Tony G is one of the best ever. Probably one of the best. He's up there in that list of best players to never have a championship.
Mm-hmm.
But for him, I think it wasn't necessarily anything he was doing as what some of the guys around him weren't doing.
Yeah. I mean, in some of those Chiefs teams he was on got close.
Yeah, for sure.
I
I think sometimes if he may have gotten paired up with a more offensive-minded coach, may have seen some good stuff because some of those Chiefs offenses are pretty sluggish, especially with Schottenheimer and stuff like that. I mean, they played like a really grind style, and so it's hard for a flashy. That actually probably makes it even more impressive that he could put up big numbers.
Yeah, and he was in really a run-first offense.
Yeah, and it's run-first offense. Even when the Trent Green years and stuff, it's still run-first. The stars were Priest Holmes and Larry Johnson. So it's really cool. Both those guys are locks. There's a few other players on the list I could see going in. But those two guys are the major guys that could make it. They're going to make it no problem. Like they're total locks, guaranteed.
Yeah. I mean, I would just be completely shocked if neither or if one or either of those guys did not get in on this ballot, just because they were so good at their positions. I mean, I wish Tony Gonzalez could have got a championship, either here in Kansas City or down in Atlanta, but he didn't. But that doesn't diminish what he did here in Kansas City all those years, and then his last couple years down in Atlanta. So I think Ed Reed and Tony Gonzalez definitely locks for the Hall of Fame this year.
A couple other guys stand out for me. Kind of interesting. I think Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce are both semifinalists, which is pretty cool. I wouldn't mind seeing them get in. They're the guys that really kind of led they really started the revolution for kind of a spread off crazy offense. I mean, that was the 99, the 2000, the 2001 Rams teams were some of the best offenses we've ever seen. And a lot of that stuff. And the funny thing is, even nowadays, when they talk about when a team's offense kicks off, they really compare them. They'll go all the way back and they'll compare them to those teams. Those two guys were a big part of that, along with Kurt Warner and with Marshall Faulk. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing those guys in. Steve Hutchinson's another guy, offensive lineman, great. So,
yeah.
Is there anybody else that jumps out at you?
Jimmy Johnson is on the list. He's been a semifinalist before, not just because I'm a Cowboys fan, but what he did in Dallas, when he went there, I think that he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Also, what he did in Miami, he did go to the playoffs in Miami as their coach. Also, toward the end of Dan Marino's career. So, I mean, I feel like Jimmy Johnson is a Hall of Famer. I don't know that he'll get in this year, but, I mean, that's a guy definitely would have my vote.
Yeah, I think, I'm with you with Jimmy Johnson. I think he did an awesome job. He probably I wonder if he gets blackballed a little bit because of how many years he coached.
Yeah,
he had coached for 6 years, right?
No, he was 5 in Dallas, and then I think he was in Miami for 3.
Yeah, you're right. So 89 to 93 is Jimmy Johnson. Dallas, 96 to 99, Miami. Yeah, so I think you're right. Yeah, so 6 times as a semifinalist. So they may just be, they may just be. I don't know what the limit is, but they may just be making him wait till he hits his limit, and then they'll put him through.
Yeah,
like you know what I mean. Like let some of these other guys go through first, and then because I'm sure he wants to do it, but it probably means a lot. It might mean a lot more for the players than it does for a coach, maybe.
Yeah, it might. I don't know.
So,
but that's a guy I think should get in. Anybody else on the list you want to?
No, I think that's it. Kind of interesting guy. That's his 7th time as a semifinalist is John Lynch.
Okay,
he was pretty good. He was kind of a great safety.
Yeah, he was pretty good. And he'll probably get in eventually. I think. I mean, I think he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, Super Bowl champ, Tampa Bay. Played safety position at a high level for a long time. So
Yeah.
I don't know. So those are your guys. You had any thoughts on the